Introduction. When considering a place to live or visit, safety is often a top concern. The United States, with its diverse landscape and vibrant cities, also has areas that face significant challenges regarding crime and public safety. In 2023, certain states stand out for their higher rates of violent crime, property crime, and other safety concerns. This script explores the 10 most dangerous states in the United States, based on the latest crime statistics and safety data. 1. Alaska. High violent crime rate. Alaska consistently ranks high in violent crime rates, including assault, rape, and domestic violence. The state's remote and isolated communities can contribute to higher crime rates, as law enforcement resources are often limited. Substance abuse issues. Substance abuse, particularly alcohol and drugs, is a significant problem in Alaska, contributing to crime and violence. The harsh climate and economic challenges exacerbate these issues. Geographic challenges. The vast and sparsely populated areas make it difficult for law enforcement to effectively monitor and respond to incidents, further contributing to the state's high crime rates. 2. New Mexico. Property crime concerns. New Mexico has one of the highest property crime rates in the country, with incidents of burglary, larceny, and motor vehicle theft being particularly prevalent. Albuquerque, the state's largest city, is a hotspot for such crimes. Violent crime rates. Violent crime, including assault and homicide, is also a significant concern. Factors such as poverty, drug abuse, and gang activity contribute to these high rates. Economic struggles. Economic hardships and a lack of resources for social services contribute to the high crime rates in New Mexico, making it a challenging environment for residents and law enforcement. 3. Louisiana. High murder rates. Louisiana frequently ranks among the top states for murder rates, particularly in cities like New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Gang violence, drug trafficking, and economic disparities are major contributors. Poverty and crime. The state's high poverty rates correlate with higher crime rates. Communities struggling with economic instability often face higher levels of both property and violent crime. Natural disasters impact. Natural disasters like hurricanes can displace communities and create chaotic situations that exacerbate crime and violence, further stressing law enforcement and social services. 4. Arkansas. Violent crime. Arkansas has a high rate of violent crime, including assault and homicide. Factors contributing to this include poverty, drug abuse, and limited access to mental health services. Rural crime challenges. Many of Arkansas crimes occur in rural areas where law enforcement coverage is sparse. This lack of resources makes it difficult to effectively manage and reduce crime rates. Economic factors. Economic struggles, including high unemployment and low wages, contribute to the state's high crime rates, as economic instability often leads to higher crime levels. 5. Missouri. Urban crime in St. Louis and Kansas City. Missouri's crime rates are significantly impacted by its two largest cities, St. Louis and Kansas City, both of which have high rates of violent crime, including homicides. Drug abuse issues. Substance abuse, particularly opioids and methamphetamine, is a major issue in Missouri, contributing to both property and violent crime rates. Economic disparities. Economic inequality and lack of access to education and social services contribute to the state's crime problems, particularly in urban areas. 6. South Carolina. High rates of violent crime. South Carolina has one of the highest rates of violent crime in the nation. Assaults, robberies, and murders are prevalent, particularly in urban areas like Columbia and Charleston. Domestic violence. The state has a particularly troubling rate of domestic violence, with one of the highest rates of women killed by men in the country. Economic and social factors. high poverty rates, and low educational attainment levels contribute to the state's high crime rates, as economic and social instability often lead to higher crime levels. 7. Tennessee. Violent and property crimes. Tennessee experiences high rates of both violent and property crimes. Cities like Memphis and Nashville contribute significantly to these statistics, with high rates of assault, robbery, and burglary. Substance abuse. Drug-related crimes, particularly those involving methamphetamine and opioids, are significant issues in Tennessee, contributing to both property and violent crime rates. 6. Yemen. Humanitarian crisis. Yemen is in the grip of one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, with ongoing conflict, famine, and disease. The complex and multifaceted war has made the country extremely dangerous. Hostile environment. Foreigners, including Americans, are at significant risk from militant groups, kidnapping, and the general lawlessness that pervades the country. Travel prohibitions. The U.S. State Department has placed Yemen on the highest travel advisory level, urging all Americans to avoid travel to the country due to the extreme dangers present. 7. Somalia. Lawlessness and militancy. Somalia has struggled with lawlessness, piracy, and militant groups like al-Shabaab for decades. The central government's control is limited, making many areas dangerous for any traveler. High risk for Americans. Americans face a high risk of kidnapping, terrorism, and violent crime. The volatile situation makes it a particularly hostile environment for Westerners. No safe zones. The lack of safe zones and reliable infrastructure means that any travel to Somalia is highly inadvisable. The U.S. government urges its citizens to avoid the country entirely. 8. Afghanistan. Ongoing conflict. Despite recent developments and international efforts, Afghanistan remains a conflict-ridden country. The security situation is highly unstable, and the threat of terrorism is pervasive. Hostility toward Westerners. Westerners, including Americans, are often targeted by militant groups. The risk of kidnapping and attacks is extremely high. Limited support. With the U.S. military withdrawal and limited diplomatic presence, Americans in Afghanistan face significant dangers and have little access to consular support. 9. Russia. Political tensions. The relationship between the United States and Russia has deteriorated significantly in recent years, marked by allegations of election interference, cyber attacks, and geopolitical conflicts. Suspicion of Americans. Americans visiting Russia may face heightened scrutiny and suspicion from authorities. The political climate has fostered an environment where Americans are not always welcomed warmly. Travel challenges. While not as dangerous as some conflict zones, Americans in Russia must be cautious and aware of potential legal and political risks. The U.S. government advises travelers to exercise increased caution. 10. Cuba. Complex relationship. The U.S.-Cuba relationship is complex, marked by decades of embargoes and diplomatic strife. Recent years have seen fluctuations in travel policies and diplomatic stances. Travel restrictions. Cuba imposes various restrictions on American travelers, and the U.S. government also places limitations on travel to Cuba. Navigating these regulations can be challenging. Mixed reception. While many Cubans are friendly and welcoming, the political climate can sometimes lead to a mixed reception for Americans. Travelers must be prepared for potential bureaucratic hurdles and scrutiny. Conclusion. While travel can be a gateway to incredible experiences and cultural exchanges, it's crucial to be aware of destinations where Americans might not be as welcome. Political tensions, historical grievances, and ongoing conflicts can create environments that are hostile or dangerous for American travelers. By staying informed and cautious, you can better navigate the complexities of international travel and ensure your safety and enjoyment.